What's up, folks? I'm Bekah Rottenberg, founder of Brave Endeavors, mountain bike skills and strength training. And today I'm going to help you learn how to jump on your mountain bike. I live in Hood River, Oregon, where I run kid mountain bike programs and adult skills clinics. And today I'm going to give you 4 specific things to focus on when it comes to jumping. My goal is ultimately to help you ride your bike with more confidence and have more fun. Before we get started, I've got a question for you. Have you watched my other video, The Most Important Mountain Bike Skill? If you haven't, go ahead, check that out. It's going to ensure you have a super balanced and stable ride position, and that's crucial for your jumping. I want you to know you can learn to jump. It starts with a mindset, a belief. I can do this. Also, before we get on the bike, we're going to get into our bodies. I'm a huge believer in the athlete first, meaning we're athletes first before we're mountain bikers. So let's go ahead and jump. Do it with me. Jump around a few times. Then let's do it in a staggered stance. Remember, as mountain bikers, we live in this staggered stance position. So let's jump. Jump higher. What do you notice you're doing with your body when you jump? What's your first movement? You send your hips back, you bend your knees, your chest stays up, eyes looking where you're going. And then when we go to jump up, we drive our hips forwards, extend through the hips, knees, and ankles, all the way up. So now the trick is to take that movement that you can do really naturally in your body to the bike. Let's go over the 4 most common mistakes that I see people make when I work in person at my jump clinics. The first one is the squash jumper. So the squash jumper stays low the whole time. Knees are bent, elbows are bent, but they never fully stand up to actually jump. The squash jumper stays low the whole time. The second common mistake I see is the yank jumper. So the yank jumper, and this is kids a lot of the time, the yank jumper pulls up really hard on the bars or pulls up with their feet or both. The telltale sign of the yank jumper is their bars will turn in the air unwittingly, or you'll experience your bars turning in the air. And that's a really scary feeling if it's happening unintentionally. The third common mistake I see is the fearful jumper. The fearful jumper leans back as the bike is going up the jump face, or once the bike is actually in the air, pushes their body away from the bike. The fearful jumper will often land rear wheel first, or again, never fully stand up and commit to the jump. The fourth most common mistake I see is the impatient jumper. And the impatient jumper will stand up too soon. Remember, you want to wait to stand up until your rear is fully leaving the lip. What happens if you stand up too soon is it kicks the rear of the bike up and the front stays low. I used to feel like the squirreliest, most out of control jumper. I actually raced at the professional level for 5 years, and every time I got in the air, felt completely out of control. It wasn't until I fully committed to riding flat pedals that I really felt like my jumping took off. So I want to teach you where your foot should be on the pedal, because that is so important with having good control and connection to the bike when you're in the air. If you imagine the ball of your foot, I want the ball of your foot to be just in front of the spindle or the axle of the pedal. So if you have come from clipless and a lot of the people I work with have. That means you slide your foot forwards, usually about a centimeter more than where your foot is when you're clipped in. So again, we want the ball of the foot just in front of the spindle of the pedal. And that's going to give you a really solid platform and not put too much stress on your calf when you're jumping. All right, are you ready to learn how to jump? Let's do this. I'm going to give you 4 specific things to think about when you're jumping: the stomp, the stand, the land, and appropriate timing throughout. Number 1, the stomp. We want to approach in our high ready position, or, since I know you watched my previous video, our proud panther. So we come in nice and tall. As we approach the jump, we need to stomp. We need to drive down through our feet and our hips, just as if we were going to jump in our bodies. So we're coming along and we stomp. In other videos, they're going to call this compression or preload. They're all right. It's just whatever term resonates with you. So we're going to stomp down. When we do this, we want to make sure we have even pressure through the feet. Now, as you do this, you're going to be moving forwards on your bike. So then comes number 2, the stand. Again, think about what you do when you jump in your body. You drive down and then you stand up. So we're doing the exact same thing on the bike. You're moving forwards, you've stomped down, and then as you're approaching the lip, you stand up, all right? So you're driving your hips forwards, chest gets high, ankles extend, and you jump up. When you're in the air, I want your feet pressing into the pedals. That means toes are pointing down and your feet are pressing into that big platform of your pedal. That's going to help you feel like you are fully in contact and control of the bike when you're in the air. All right, we've got our stomp, we've got our stand. What comes next? We got to land. Whoa, 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 already? I know, it happens fast. But let's work backwards from the landing. So you've stood all the way up, you're bending your knees, you're bending your elbows in the air to bring the bike up with you. You stay with the bike, right? We're not the fearful jumper, we're not pushing our body away from the bike, we're staying centered over the bottom bracket. And then when we come to the landing, we want to look at it. And then we're actually going to extend down, so push the legs, push the arms down. So we're pressing the bike towards the ground. Our tires hit, and then we bend to absorb that landing. A good landing looks like either both tires land on the ground at the same time, or your front wheel lands slightly before the rear wheel. There's a little bit of nuance there. Don't worry about it right now. Our 4th element to good jumping is timing. Now, jumping is part art, part science, meaning we're always playing around with 2 variables, skill and speed. I like to say you can make up for lack of skill with speed. And what that means is with a nicely built jump, if you come through at a fast enough speed and keep your body pretty neutral, you're going to jump this jump pretty well. The way you apply skill is you slow down and then give me a good stomp, a good stand, and a good landing at the right time. So the most common question I get is, Bekah, when do I stomp? When do I stand? You gotta go practice. And this is where having a coach or a friend who maybe you pay to video you is super helpful. But I like to think backwards in terms of timing, where you wanna be fully standing as your rear wheel is leaving the lip of the jump. Okay, so remember I said the impatient jumper stands up too early. Patience. So you're going to want to stomp as you approach the lip of the jump and then stand all the way up as your rear is leaving the lip of the jump. All right, when you're jumping on your bike, I want you to picture a kangaroo jumping. Kangaroos have these dinky little arms, right? Their upper body stays super relaxed. Your upper body should stay super relaxed when you're jumping. Okay, my friends, we have just covered the 4 main things to think about when you start jumping. Do you remember what they are? The stomp, the stand, landing, and appropriate timing all throughout. Now it's time for you to go practice. I'd love to hear about any breakthroughs you have or questions. If you have questions, feel free to shoot me an email, drop it in the comments. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe. Also, you should subscribe to my newsletter. I send out a newsletter every Saturday with info on mountain bike tips, strength training, and mindset. That's all I've got for you today. I hope you go out and ride your bike with more confidence and more fun.